And with series number 1 out of the way, it is time to move on to series numero dos here. I'm Ravish Engineer by Dean Rebel Fox Merrick. Dean, you're a wonderful human being, but I get angry at you at times. So to calm down, what I'm going to do is talk about these two phenomenal teams that we have here on deck. Another loser is out matchup between Immortals Academy and Resolve.
That it is. Resolve has come from a very long line now of the beginning of the split was tough for them, right? They, especially through the qualifiers here for Proving Grounds, they weren't looking like a team that had a bunch of consistency behind them. But we can be proud of the fact that they were able to kind of clumb in UGP, end up qualifying, and they came out, surprised C9 Academy, lost to Wildcard Red, another one of our amateur teams, and since then just been winning outright and been looking a far better. One of the stats I got pulled for one of our other lovely casting friends, Smacks, is that the only amateur team that has beaten an academy team so far has actually been Resolve inside of this entire event.
And let's see if they can go ahead and do it again too. Because they are going to have to, because if you look over on the side of Immortals Academy, just about half their roster is made up of previous amateur players, especially if we're looking at the top side of Anda and Viper too. Some of the stars over on No or to transition onto IMT, definitely be able to show the prowess. And I would say the synergy when you look at the playstyle.
I agree. Sorry, I didn't catch the last end of yours. Can you repeat what you said at the very end?
Sure. You know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead, say it a little bit quieter, softer, and so let's try to get a little bit closer, a little bit more intimate. So am I the old one or are you at this point?
I think you're 25 today, right? That
I
is
am 25
correct.
today.
Okay, yeah, see? There you go. So you are older than me, but somehow my hearing has gone bad, so.
That hurts me deeply too. So the main thing I wanted to focus on right here, Dean, is Immortals Academy, right? We were talking a little bit about this whole amateur on v amateur action where their own roster, in fact, is made up of previous amateur stars, with the likes of No Org, especially Onda and Viper too, who have been an immense force in the top side for Immortals Academy with their synergy.
Yeah, the entirety of the Academy split for the likes of Immortals was you bring in this new top side between Viper and Onda, and you've got really solid immediate kind of synergy between those two and playing to your top side quite a bit. We heard a lot about how just insane they were in scrims, but they also weren't all together until midway through the splits. At that point, they did start surging and they had some really good performances. It came down to the last possible moment where they had to win in a qualifier up against TSM in a best of 1, ended up taking that to get into playoffs, and since then did cool off at least a little bit until they got to Proving Grounds, where all of a sudden they've really caught fire once again. They've been able to make things work. A lot of that strategy shifted from playing towards Viper exclusively on the top side into putting more resources onto the bottom side of the map. And so that has been Joey and Keith who've been pulling at least a little bit more, while Viper has been able to generate a lot more of his own advantage.
And you can see that in the series up against EGA as well, which they beat previously too. It was phenomenal with the way they played it out, just kind of counteracting the overall skirmishing play style that we saw between these two teams. So what I am really interested in is, with Resolve's overall mid-jungle pressure that they have, and with PCL kind of being left on more of a bruiser type champion, how is his bot side going to face? They might just put him on Orndui or in my heart of hearts, I almost just want a Nasus for PCL, just so he just has like some sort of win con to be able to just come in and bonk people. But a person can dream, right? So how this overall bot 2v2 is definitely going to play out, because right now Immortals are looking very strong. And if I look down to the bot lane of Resolve, right, I do have some back and forth between Winter and Array, and I would be interested to see what kind of face we see out of them today.
Yeah, it's a matter of Winter and Array, especially I think Array has stepped up extremely inside of this tournament, being the newest member of this team before anything else had come through. Bottom side, especially if resources from Immortals is going into that bottom side, will be a lot more interesting to see Array and Winter versus the likes of Keith and Joey with resources from both sides, maybe going into bottom side. And like you said, I think top lane in that regard then becomes Viper versus PCL. We've seen PCL have good games, but that is one where we have to believe that Viper is going to do some fantastic work. So opposite sides of the map, definitely keep your eyes on the two side lanes in this one.
And I'm also going to go ahead and keep my eyes peeled as well, as we're going to cut it to very short. Because when we come back, we will have champs for y'all's faces. Keep your eyes peeled to the screen. Hey, what's going on here, amigos? We in for champs for game numero uno between Immortals Academy and Resolve. Right off the bat, those similar bans we've seen so far, but Resolve making sure to take away that rise, though, which you know it pretty is just so beautiful on. And the trend continues with a lot of mid focus being put out with the likes of the LeBlanc band, the TF band too, and finally a Renekton coming out from Immortals just so PCL can't have any sort of power. We are blazing through this draft, dude.
That we are, yeah. Resolve come out and they say, okay, Ryze and LeBlanc, both special champions of Pretty in the mid lane, insanely talented player. Usually takes a second to get off the ground, but as you get into mid game, starts to kind of take things over. So not shocking, they want to get rid of that as fast as possible. And the Camille, the blind pickable option. Now that Immortals are on blue side, they'd like something strong for Viper on top side. One of the better kind of blindable options here in this top lane here for the side of Immortals Academy. And Viper showing the ability to take that champion and showing the ability to not have to absorb too many resources to dominate a laning phase on the likes of that champion either.
Yeah, but speaking of resources that might be needed on the bot side, though, Resolve, like with a quick flicks, Fnatic getting the Xin Zhao pick into the Lee Sin, though. So, like, interesting matchup between the two. But we're talking a lot about the bot side here, Dean. And Array wants these resources. He's picking up the Ophelia. So now the response between the two should be a little bit interesting considering what the big into is about to see as Ziggs is up. So that's a free pick along with the Rakan. Very similar picks to what we've seen in just game number one between C9 and GGA, but APA is just doing his thing, bro. Why you gotta do this, man? Stop this.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, we haven't hit a champion he hasn't played in that pool, I think, which is the one problem of having that from the side of Resolve. IMT picking the likes of the Ziggs and also the Rakan kind of indicates to me that maybe they don't want to play the bot side. They have done that a little bit as a recency, especially in the later half of, like, the Academy splits. But they also have this style where they say, okay, Keith, you're going to be playing something, you're going to be on your own, like Lethality, Varus, you play Ziggs, something like that. And now Joey gets to make an impact on the map to match everything that's going to be coming about from that bottom side, alongside, Anda, who's going to have this insanely powerful Lee Sin to work alongside that. So these lanes, especially like mid and top lane, are going to be something to fear here from the side of Resolve. They match with Leona, potentially to aggress against Ziggs, also something that like can stomp the Rakan. If Rakan decides to get aggressive, you just stun him up, purpose on him, and kill him off with the likes of the Aphelios.
Yeah. Right now, though, as the bans continue to go on, though, both mid and top currently not picked up for both of these teams too. And I imagine they want to save at least R5 for the likes of APA just to make sure that we can build on more of this mid jungle synergy that we're talking about between Fen and APA. Like, I know previously, like, they've been like huge shot callers for the team and really the go buttons on both of their ends with their calm demeanors, and Fen deciding, all right, let's do this. Right now, though, but or take it away as well, just to give Winston, just to not give PCL, I should say, any sort of comfort. We were saying that this game of Bruiser, he should be fine, and Jace as well taken from the side of Resolve. So, a lot of focus being put on the top side too. I would be interested to see what they end up actually giving away to PCL, and like because Viper right now, I feel like he still has a lot on his plate to be able to take.
It's okay with Ornn being taken off the board. They want to take the sandbag and make sure that's not going to come through. The respect Ophelia, or my apologies, Aurelion Soul Ban comes out against the side of Resolve as well, because that's one of APA's like map influential. Instead goes for the Orianna to pair with like Leona or to pair with Xin Zhao to be able to go into like a wombo team fight with Ophelia. So really playing for a bit more of the team fighting strategy. You also saw that Resolve, they took away a lot of range. They don't want to be able to be bullied out by like Syndra with like Ziggs on top of it, with Jace on top of it, all of that coming through. Wanting to deny any of that from happening. So now Pretty gets his pick of champions into the Orianna, and then you're going to have to blind pick your top lane here for the likes of Viper. They go for Victor to scale into Orianna, or at least alongside the Orianna to begin with. It's a question now of, what is it that Viper feels comfortable taking into the top side of the map, into a lot of this kind of AoE team fighting strategy. I wonder if he's, considering at least going for more of a solo lane approach, something that could kind of battle a little bit more like that. Okay, that's something that could work like that.
All right, and considering he picks up the set too, the set's a pick I actually haven't seen in quite a fair bit, but honestly, I find he just remains so solid throughout the entire split, but he's just been overall just underused. And now the pick coming in for PCL to see what they want to go into the set. Okay, this is great. I actually love this a lot. Volibear, I find, is such an underrated pick, and he duels well up against set 2. Not early on, though, but if you're able to stack your W2 and play around what likely would be press the attack for his overall room page, you can actually do really well into him. You just have to dodge the W. I played this matchup a lot.
You gotta dodge his W. That is perhaps the word of the day for the likes of the set matchup: dodge the W, especially the true damage portion of it, as much as possible. It's like something we've seen a lot more recently is like people going a bit more for like laning set, where you go for like Blade of the Ruined King and Gore Drinker and you try to take more side lane, which I think is acceptable here. Like you said, Volibear oftentimes is used to try to mitigate some of the like powerful side laners. It was Renekton back in the day. I assume the exact same option is here for the likes of the sets. The big difference is like with Volibear ultimate being able to deny towers, it also opens up dive potential for the rest of this Wombo combo. So like you shut down a tower, all of a sudden Fnatic has access to the rest of the backline. You've got Ori ultimate, Moonlight Vigil on top of it, and all of a sudden you can now go much further into the enemy base in order to actually make things happen.
As of right now, Resolve are looking to go in, and Immortals Academy might be looking to do the same. So we'll see how both of these competitions break down. And when we come back at the end of this very, very short break, like 2 minutes, so I promise, like 2, just 2, just 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. I hope you had a nice little rest, maybe a little sip of water, because I know I did. But if you were parched, well, let's try to fix that and quench the thirst that you all have for League of Legends, as we are going to head on into the second series of the night. Game 1 between Resolve and IMTA. Dean, I don't imagine we see any sort of early shenanigans, just a straight 5v5 setup. By the way, I always imagined this to kind of be like, you know how in like old Western movies, you're at like a standoff, there's just like a tumbleweed passing by, like you're there just like
It's the kind of it's the kind of like standoff where like everybody's standing there like guns ready with one another, and then out of nowhere like all 5 of the people you're staring at end up on like facing one person directly, and that's what happens when they invade the bottom tri-brush, something along those lines.
Exactly that here too, man. It's like I do kind of miss all Westerns. They had a certain charm to them, looking at Billy the Kid and just coming in for just the town outlaw to see what kind of things he can shake up right here in this South Old Town of Old Saloon, whatever. But I digress, though. As you look back in there, the game is starting as of right now. It'll be opposite ends. It'll be kind of same buff starts, but opposite ends of the map for both of these junglers, both of them actually getting a leash for now do so. We should see a much faster clear, and we're talking a lot about the focus in this game, so I'll be interested to see where they both end up going realistically.
I think Jungle v Jungle ends up being a lot of both early game and then also set up for later stages. What you've got here is like Fnatic works as both early game damage, a lot of CC as well with like the Q and the ultimate to fit in, and then also synergy with the likes of APA's Orianna and everything else that would come about from a team fight setup. So he's going to be important pretty much no matter what the stage of the game. Anda here is on the Lee Sin to try to find aggression early. And for these lane setups, you got like Victor doesn't have immediate CC. You don't have like great immediate CC before level 6 from the side of Joey before that ultimate comes through. So Viper ends up being a target of your affection potentially very quickly inside of the confines of this game. And that I think is why Anda is clearing up to topside as fast as possible.
Center right now, we see this back and forth. I was talking a lot about this overall top matchup. Which, okay, do you mind if I nerd out a little bit on this for like 45 seconds?
Yes, you are the top lane man, so you're welcome to nerd out on the top lane man.
Okay, cool. Thank you, too. Okay, I personally think that Volibear is just such an underutilized pick, and I was hoping he would do this. This grass pick is actually ingenious coming in for PCL too, because this is usually what you take into these booster matchups because you can trade in on health. Although the first couple of waves, you might have to forego them and considering, he can definitely just out-trade you, but once you get down to level 3 to level 4, you can get your stun off as well and trade reliably with W, then Viper's overall power diminishes so quickly, and then once you get to level 6 as well, your ultimate can trade back and forth, but because you get so big and because of all your health, you actually end up coming out on top of the trade. And like I said, just dodge the W and you win every time.
So dodge the W, keep the trade extended. The grass combined with the W is going to give you the health trade after all things said and done. It's effectively what we're looking at top lane. Is that the distillation?
Well, if you want to be boring about it, yeah, sure.
I do like to be boring. That's my MO. The big thing I want to note, I was curious why it was that Viper was like bouncing this like third wave off as fast as possible, because I was like, Anda's pathing up. It's because PCL has now pushed out his wave, giving potential punishment from Anda and this Lee Sin onto the likes of PCL. If PCL turns to try to go for a fight or something, and Anda can find him.
No, he didn't dodge the W. He has to use the flash. PCL, I was saying this for so long. He has such a big wave, too, because if he doesn't take that damage, he actually wins that trade and then could possibly go in onto him. But consider he actually has a level advantage over him, too. But APA has to come in, use the TP to try to crash this wave to make sure that PCL's wave state is still A-OK. And Fan, as well, they're on the top side, just mirroring him. So a lot of resources and a little bit of time taken away to make sure that the Pie Cake Lord can continue his reign.
And it's excellent teleport coverage also because APA not only like defends and pushes this wave in just to make sure that Viper can't do anything, can't like set it to freeze specifically on his side, but the coverage was there from Fnatic too. They bring 2 full members up to make sure there's no like regank onto APA, make sure nothing's going to get lost, and then even PCL walking into mid lane, catching a couple of minions to sure that he's not going to go down too far. Very, very nice little rotations from Resolve, ensuring to cover both their mid and top lane very effectively across all of what happened right there, with only the flash ending up being burnt, the TP also from APA being burnt, but you're not too concerned about that. But PCL, not in a great place again. This wave still difficult to manage, but it could have been a lot worse if Viper were able to kind of just like access that immediately without the TP from the Orianna.
Oh, 100,000%. Yeah, it's definitely going to be very detrimental to his overall wave health. But although right now, he is down maybe like just under like 13 fire, they should really pick that back up with the next wave. But considering what we've seen, I was going to say, I don't mind this Doran Ring start because it allows you to trade a lot more. Personally, for me, I like the overall like Doran Shield because you still maintain that health and that regen, especially in this matchup too. It does help inch out on just those small little margins you play on in the earlier game. But with the double claw start, if he gets the Bramble too, suddenly Viper's, a lot of the early healing is completely diminished. And they continue to reign forward as Dragon is taken by IMT. Summarize that, Borg, man.
Too much to summarize. I'll keep your attention, as we're not going to draw attention to what happened to poor APA right there, as they try to set up a play on a Pretty. With the push of Ziggs on bottom side, they can walk in and take Dragon anytime that they want, which is what they did right there. No punishment onto Pretty, now even more of a play.
Yeah, Winter's just unfortunately dead here too. They actually expunged the Ignite onto him, so not a ton of resources. Oh, wait.
Joey got it.
Okay, so the Ignite ends up killing him, but hey, I guess that's not that bad for a resolve. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, kill's a kill. You'll take that all day. It was actually quite a nice punishment, too, coming out, because the side of IMT, they go in for Dragon to be able to come things out. Winter walks in as he was with this little, like, kind of raiding party, looking for some semblance of combat whenever it was going to come about. And the invade immediately, like, preceding what happened around that Dragon Pit, ended up leading to this kill onto Winter. So now PCL's been put into a rough situation. You already don't have, like, the best early matchup, like you had alluded to earlier, and without Flash is going to make it even harder to capitalize on. First Dragon goes to IMT, and they've got bottom side control. Victor, Orianna scaling at the same right now. Resolve looking, I remember specifically somebody has called them previously a second Dragon team. This is like the first two Dragons they're always willing to give up. This is a second Dragon composition where you're willing to wait for Orianna to get on the first, second item, that type of territory alongside Fnatic, and set up what would be an amazing team fight in that circumstance. So Immortals trying to get as much done before that point as possible.
Oh my god, the ward hop and the kick immediately onto Fan. Beautiful setup, but and just not enough pressure right now, enough damage to clean that up. But flash down for the entire top side of Resolve as PCL right now watching Bishop on the shield, has to ult away though, but ooh, beautiful W trade, and now he can try to regress if he wants to, but he doesn't know where Anda is, he doesn't know where Joey is. It's a good call by him.
That it is. More control here from IMT up the top side. You can see this top quadrant has just been like, it's ripped control from the side of Anda. They're making sure Viper is always going to be comfortable. Now this is expanded also into like jungle and mid position as well, as they're able to get invade into Fnatic. Level 6 is here for APA. They have Shockwave. They don't quite have ultimate for Fnatic, but he can still deliver the ball alongside the yellow.
They're collapsing onto one, though. Nice face breaker to the knock up at the back end. A big W. The Shockwave connects. No really going down back and forth. The 1v1. PCL gets one on the back end. Let's go. He solo kills Viper essentially. That's what I wanted to see. He dead. And a double kill for Pretty. That's not good.
No, it is not. Rift Herald doesn't go. There's that. Viper going down. Hey, there's Resolve getting something back, and it goes on to the Volibear, so maybe that matchup gets a little bit better, especially with no kill going to Viper. But like you had said, Pretty getting 2 kills is not ideal on any champion, least of all the Victor, which he's extremely good at, and also creates this kind of counteraction to what it is that's coming out from Resolve. When they set up this composition to be like Volibear, Xin Zhao dive alongside an Orianna ball, the gravity field from a Victor and the ultimate from a Victor is going to be more than enough. A good setup from Viper, flashing in for the Space Breaker into the Haymaker combination, gets a number of people, and yeah, they do end up trading onto him, but like the damage afterwards from Pretty, being able to clean up the rest of this fight, humongous for IMT. This is a team that loves to fight around neutral objectives almost to a fault, especially in the earlier split. They did it all the time to a fault, where they would basically turn off every objective in fight, no matter what the situation. It's nice to see them kind of coming back to some of their old roots, playing a bit around top lane, playing a bit around some of these fights on neutral objectives.
I want to correct something I said earlier. I said PCL solo kill Viper. Now, in my heart of hearts, he did. Like, it's like he was in that fight, and I wanted so bad for them to actually scrap it out in the middle, you know, just like going back to the old Western metaphor, right? Just like no one interrupts. It's just the outlaw and the cop fighting back and forth to see who gets control of this town. But unfortunately, he had to have the team with him as it was a skirmish. But just as long as he gets on top of this, like, this trade, I'm fine. I'm only biased towards Volibear because as a tank player, I just want to see more tank representation, and them doing well makes me definitely happy. But going back to the point you were saying before, right now, like with Pretty, he can essentially just like kite away with a lot of the damage you're seeing coming off the side of Resolve. As I'll try to hold as Joey is here, but 4 members of Resolve is coming onto Viper as well. He's altered back into the team. Not a ton of damage or real impact, though. But he can just take this kill. Although not a soul kill, we'll take another one, though, right now. And beautiful play so far from Resolve in this overall 4v2. Immortals a little bit too far forward with not enough resources.
Ultimate still being very effectively used from the side of Resolve. This is an ultimate-driven team fight when they use all of them effectively the way that you just saw. You can see how Resolve is able to win situations like this. Even when Immortals have this advantage on the top side of the map, have these very powerful initial champions, they're able to shut down a lot. They focused on Viper as quickly as possible, knowing that he is a very significant threat. I want to see if the Haymaker ever come out, because I didn't think it did. Yeah, I don't think it ever actually came out because the CC was layered properly from the side of Resolve, so big props to them. Viper wasn't able to make full use of the kit, that Haymaker not ever being used for either their true damage to force everyone to dodge, as you so lovingly have made it clear that everybody needs to do, which is fair, 100%. Instead, they decided no dodging necessary because we're just going to kill him before it happens in the first place.
Which I think is definitely the other nice little alternative, right? Because it's, if the damage is not truly there, then does it have an effect? And for that being no, though, but this damage will definitely have an effect, though, as it gets out of one. Keith is gone, too. Cannot fast pack away between these Qs, son. Honda as well on the backside. Oh, the Moonlight Vigil lands on just a dime. And they get 2 out of that. Resolve to collapsing really well.
Yeah, this has been Immortals kind of getting caught out by like a numbers advantage a couple of times here from the side of Resolve, where all of a sudden they're finding these timers that Immortals are using for these neutral objectives, and they're capitalizing on them very quickly. This is not Second Dragon, or my apologies, this is Second Dragon, this is a Third Dragon team. I meant to say that earlier, I think more than a Second Dragon team. But here they are competing ahead of what that timer would normally look like, and beyond all of that also, like if Delio's pulling a kill, great for your team fighting, more interaction with APA on the map. Pulling a Dragon also slows down this game, which again, usually is going to favor the team with very immediate team fight win, which comes from the likes of an Orianna and a Moonlight Vigil. Everything Resolve has been doing over the last couple of minutes. It seems like Immortals in the first 5-10 minutes of the game were the ones making and forcing the plays, but Resolve has been able to find a counteraction very quickly. Okay. I'm watching also as like what we see across the map develop with like both supports ending up on top side. Leona currently hovering around where the Rift Herald is going to be at because we have 13 minutes in this game. Rakan is also up here as well. Both of them kind of hovering in the immediate area as fast as they can, making sure to be here first over top of the enemy team so that they can pull what is priority inside of the river. APA also currently has the wave clear necessary to just kind of shove back waves that Victor is shoving in at the exact same time, and when he has support like this, usually can have first move for something like the river. So there's that as well. Now though, with reinforcements, of course, Pretty is going to be coming back in. Okay. As everybody
okay, there we go. I believe
Hello?
I'm back in here. Hello, hi. Not too sure what happened there, but yeah, like we were saying, Rift Herald is up as of right now. It's, I believe my mic just fortunately just kaboomed itself for a couple of seconds, but no worries, we're all okay.
Yes. Welcome back. I'll catch you up on everything that happened. Both teams are hovering around Rift Herald, and I think they're going to fight soon. That's what's happening. Yeah.
I believe it. I thought I was saying something before, but as I was watching for right now, Dean, I was thinking, yeah, like considering this top side pressure we have already with both of these supports that are currently here, it's like, yeah, they could just try to get Prio and Vision over this Rift Herald, because if they get this right, this immediately then opens up the map and now also allows for, like you're mentioning, those strong team fight ultimates to be able to go where they please in terms of the skirmishes they decide to take. I would like this to go in mid lane too, considering if AP is able to roam, they have so many ball delivery systems on all across Resolve. Like they should be fine to take any like sort of 3v3 skirmish that they come upon, I should say.
The alternative to that like theory is like, okay, if you put Orianna in any specific lane, you've got really good ball delivery system, and now APA suddenly gets to make this impact on the map the way he has previously. I'm gonna hold this thought any further just because there's a lot of people showing up in mid lane.
Yep, flashes up already too,
incredible.
But there we go. APA just runs away a little bit far for their taste too. But actually, I do want to give credit to APA for actually just hogging the wall there too, kind of sniffing that something might be afoot.
Yeah, interesting. They hadn't really seen Rakan show back onto the bottom side of the map, and they don't have a ton of vision to be able to defend against where it was that Immortal position was. And so APA tried to deduce where it is that the enemy team is. He's hovering on the bottom side and able to get away without even burning the flash, just runs away from the Rakan, who ults and gets over top of the wall. The flash from Joey burnt for effectively nothing. Even the TP burnt from PCL. I'm not sure it was completely necessary, but again, that shit play just gets completely shut out. Another bit of aggression from IMT that they start looking for themselves that just gets immediately removed because of Resolve's ability to kind of deny things. These coverages from one another, and the individual play, of course, now from PCL and APA has been amazing to see them shut down aggression from IMT. As Rip Herald not going to top, or not going to mid lane, instead going into bottom side, trying to get this Aphelios online a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite nice to get a little more gold into him, just all the consistent damage coming off the side of Array, which going back to the point we were saying before, right? Both IMT and Resolve, we should probably look at the more so bot side focus, but right now, you know, Array and like kind of Keith too have been pretty landlocked to this bot side as well here, Dean, but decently even across the board. But with Keith right now, like, I do always think that if you do have a Ziggs on your team, you immediately and forever have a win condition. But with the way that Array has been shaping up, right, all this gold being funneled into him, once he gets his second item, things might be a little bit tougher for the side of IMT if they want to go for these fights in the next 10 minutes.
One of the bigger things is like Rift Herald has been shut out from IMT. One of the main reasons you pick Ziggs is just so that like your bottom side is pretty much safe no matter what. Oh, IMT is infringing upon the territory of Resolve.
No, satchel charge there. There we go. See, AP flash with the wall immediately. That's second time. And she starts. Ooh, nice shockwave onto Onda. There's the engage. PCL knocks him down. But what more can they get though? As all of IMT got to run away. And Dean, you said this before. That all of Resolve have been doing such a good job responding to Immortals.
They have. Like I said, what a play right there. They like Immortals shift the Ziggs into mid lane to pull tower off the board. They get first tower gold, which is great. The engagement afterwards, not so much. Fnatic able to deny a lot of the damage with just the ultimate coming out from himself, and so that denies Pretty and Keith being able to bring him down from a distance, which stalls for enough time for APA to be able to position the ball, deny Anda's exit, and be able to get PCL into position. That wins them back a fair amount, because not only do they get like push on bottom side into a tower, they get the dragon as well. The response for Viper is on top side, but again, your Volibear feels strong enough now after that fight, after that TP, with 3 kills in his pocket, that the side laning of the likes of the set isn't really going to be that impactful. So Resolve, it feels like they're taking favorable trades constantly across everything. Despite the first tower going down, I think Resolve actually ends up winning in this entire situation.
Yeah, so the question is now here, Dean, for you, is that do not Immortals have to resolve, have to kind of like move past this whole I find a pick style that they were trying to play with the Lee Sin, like, do they not have to like set up around these objectives and go with the 5v5s? Because so far things are just as I say that. Fnatic gets caught out though, but there you go, there's the ultimate along with the shockwave with the back end to save him. Locks him up against the wall, but he's okay. So,
too many members. Oh, go ahead.
And see, but like I was saying, yeah, just like, so just, this pick style, unfortunately, still yet again, has not been working out. So are they not resorted to just 5v5ing then?
They are reserved now to taking what is available to them on the map in a couple of situations. One of the big ones is Pretty is getting gold, which I think bodes well for their 5-on-5 a little bit later, because when you've got Xin Zhao, when you've got Volibear, like I said, throwing up that gravity field is going to be a big negator, making sure that that's not going to come about. The other big thing is like they can take a lot of tower gold just because Ziggs is really good at that. So being able to pull ambient gold from the map is something that's sometimes complex to do, but Ziggs makes it very simple. All you have to do is knock the tower down to half health, and effectively he auto attacks it, presses W, and it's gone. And so that gold is going to come into their pockets. Now all the outer towers are gone, which is what's propping up Immortals gold right now. Right now they're ahead by 800 gold. That is because of those outer tower rings that have gone down. If Resolve is able to match that, it feels like they're going to have just a definitive lead inside of this game comparative to what Immortals is currently bringing. So the answer to your question, after I made the response entirely too boring, they should play for Pretty in 5-on-5 pretty much exclusively, because that's probably the best that they've got for this point in the game, given how everything has gone so far.
I mean, it makes sense, right? I accept your answer, boring man, and I'll try to run with it. Because here's that. Look, Pretty, right? Within this Immortals Academy too, we've been talking about him. He's been such a bright spot in terms of composition, especially when he's able to get his comfort too. Although like he's been involved in a couple of these fights, but we find like it's like he's 2-0-1, has one major shutdown, and he ends up being allowed to side lane as well. So he's definitely going to be like one of the main things we have to look at to kind of bring Immortals near towards a much more even state, just to make sure that they aren't just left on the over-responsive side and being aggressed upon by Resolve.
They can't. Keeping track of everything. There are a lot of members of IMT in bottom side jungle poking around PCL while Baron just dies right now. That is really unfortunate because like they got spotted out by that blue board, which was really quick from the side of Resolve, but like they were nowhere close to that. There was one person able to get within blue board, and everybody else was in that like kind of right quadrant of the entire map, which it would have taken them a long time to try to respond to anything like that. So IMT, I think that little blue ward buff, and maybe there would have been a fight kind of like thrown about. Maybe they would have been able to get there in time, as it was a little bit slow, wasn't proper gun setup for like a Philios. But I feel like the threat was assessed there by Resolve a little bit higher than it actually was for the response from IMT. So good on them. Who is it that has that blue ward? I think it was Vipers. Viper able to fake them out with that blue ward and try to drive them off that objective when they had a lot of free reign over that.
Yeah, I mean, respect to them on that, but PCL right now is going to say he had TP there on the bottom side, so he could have been able to respond if it became a fight. But right now, too, he's just been playing this menace up against, just especially Onda too, making sure that he can't get any resources, fighting him on every single buff, which, like, when you're a Volibear and you're this strong, it feels mean. Because you can just like take this fight up against him. You have, like, especially with anti-heal, like, and the shield, you can continue to kind of do what you want, which is what I wanted to see out of PCLC. Teams watching, Volibear good. Pick Volibear. He can continue to like aggress up against the enemy jungler. You don't need to 2v2 with your support. Just get Big Bear Boy, and you'll be absolutely solid, right, Dean?
Yes. Is that the answer?
Thank you. That's it. That's all I'm looking for.
Okay. I mean, Volibear also makes like perfect sense for PCL. He's kind of a player that has like good mechanics, and then also has this tendency to be a little bit like hyphy and laning phase from time to time. And so a champion like Volibear is hard to like not have impact on because of how big he can get in fights. Like you said, he can be a lot more frontline, he can be a bit more damage oriented, he can focus more on diving towers. There's a fair amount that Volibear's identity can change, and so PCL able to adapt properly inside of a game makes it very easy. Nice vision toggle shows us that like RSV's in here first.
Yeah, TP coming on the backside too. Viper's already here. PCL not there as of yet though, but they're gonna run away. Viper not able to find one, but looking back and forth to Khan jumping, and now PCL is in. He finds two, but the true damage is big. The face breaker tears apart the health bars of Resolve. That's a shutdown for Keith, and now they're to fire to the back end. What more can they do? Array is blue and red, so he's ready to go, Fred. But no, Set kills him. Triple kill as Fnatic tries to get one more.
IMT, to call it bread and butter to fight around objectives perhaps is an insult to bread or to their team fighting and how prevalent it is compared to bread and butter, which just tells you it's all they do. Like, all split, this has been the crux of what it is that they are able to accomplish. Fight around dragons, fight around barons. Here, they force. They're not in this super advantageous place. They don't have this massive gold advantage. Instead, they just say, Shirelia's battle song, let's throw Rakan in. We've got a set, let's fight right now. They break apart a lot of this kind of, like, interior line. Everybody groups up for the AoE that you've got between, like, a Ziggs and a set and everything else. APA's ultimate doesn't accomplish all that much, and so at the end of this, you're sitting here wondering, like, Resolve feels like they never even landed a punch before the fight is already completely over.
Dean, I had one simple ask of Resolve. Just one. Dodge the
W. Dodge the W. Yeah, dodge the W. I did not believe that they listened to you that time.
No, they did not. And that allows the health bars to just drop so low that, like you mentioned, that AoE and Keith on the back end just tears them apart. And now Immortals Academy, they were the one to threaten this Baron as, okay, Fnatic takes a lot of damage in the back end, but it's a fight on two sides. But Anna's coming out on top though, but look at the back end, huge knock up to Joey. You can fantastic job for the setup from our main man Pretty, who's looking absolutely gorgeous, getting another double. And that's going to be a beautiful Baron coming out for this side of Immortals Academy, unless Array or PCL have something to say about it. Viper finds them, he's forcing them off, he's chunky PCL to about half health though. Ben has an option to try to get in, Baron is at half health though, but the big W, he didn't dodge it, Dean. They're not listening to me. It's taking out damage to the face, and now Viper and Joey and Pretty, this squad right now, 3-man up, can just force them away. They walk into the jungle with your chest saying, you don't belong here. You can't be on this side, son. The Baron is ours. As Viper dies, come on, man.
All this hype, just like constant win after win after win, and then just one tiny L at the top of it. Poor Viper ends up getting lost, but ultimately insanely good for the side of IMT. Again, winning around a lot of these team fights in these neutral objective pits. You talk about Pretty, he's insanely fed right now. 5 kills, 5 assists, 250 farm at 26 minutes is insanely good for the amount of gold that he's got as this Victor, able to carry in a bunch of different situations. I will say again, Immortals, they were trying to bait out a fight once again. How long were 4 of their members sitting in the back of the Baron pit before they ended up being able to catch PCL? It took a minute, but eventually PCL was goaded forward enough to where they were able to actually punish the Bear. All 5 of their members could have committed into the Baron pit, and ultimately they bring down every single member on the side of Resolve as Immortals slowly are just like encompassing this game little by little by little, a lot of it off the back of their team fighting prowess.
But Resolve looking to do their best IMT impression, but unfortunately Joey catches them out. Okay, nice little solo for her just to make sure they might not be able to completely siege Winter. Deja vu, Dean. We have been in this place before. Last time Winter died in the exact same quadrant as he heads towards the bot side. They use the bot. They want to kill him so bad. It's taking so long. Okay, Keith finally gets him. But I wanted to make a point as to how, like, Immortals Academy, right? We were saying before that this sort of 2v2 skirmish catch-out style, like, was actually working for them, you know, like, they weren't able to get the key targets, and Resolve ended up responding just in a better way and being able to get out. They finally catch the one target they need. They finally get him, and suddenly the game turns on its head.
And it did. It's Immortals knowing, I think, what it is to like try to win any given game off the back of fights. This is not a team that like can rely super heavily on like setting up objectives and making sure to play around towers, punishing that kind of thing very effectively. This is a team that like when it comes down to brass tacks, they're willing to rely on the talent of their players to just win fights altogether. And their team fighting also is some of the most menacing that you can look at from any position. The one terrifying aspect at this point in the game is this Aphelios. So being able to find, like you said, kind of the one target that you need in the array. If they're able to find him, that fight goes, that's not good.
Inches, fighting on literal inches. They couldn't land it. They were just so close, and the shockwaves from APA have been fantastic so far. But now with this ultimate focus team and 2 of the biggest ones down right now, they know Resolve has to back away. We better give them all this pressure and all this utility across the entire map, which like they just have to like watch as things die. But instead of Fan is not gonna take it lying down. The Muela Vigilance, the backside doesn't do a ton off of that though, but Ray has to kind of kite away. We see Winter as well running too. He's gonna caught up at the back end. Viper gets a double kill. PC on the wrong side of the map. He gotta run away too. Gets pulled back in. Can't get the shield. Uses ultimate. Oh, okay. I love that interaction. That's bring that a little later on. As Viper though still like manages to clean up the kill on the back and giving that over to Pretty as they look upon the base of Resolve. Though it was a strong start, Dean. It was a promising mid game, but Resolve, they just couldn't close it out. And Immortals Academy take game 1.
Off the back of, again, fighting time and time again, Immortals are able to force Resolve into a situation they don't want to be in a couple of places. It was 1 or 2 fights here or there that really broke this into the favor of IMT. Like you said, early, mid-game, looked great from the side of Resolve. They had a game plan that was ready. They had a team fighting composition that was designed and ready for it, but for some reason, they just cannot actually cooperate. They aren't able to put their pieces together when it came down to that 5-on-5 fighting. Brass tacks and Immortals shake their opponents basically from that mid-game into late game, into submission, very, very easily taking that game after that point.
Now, I'd say one pick was all it took, but there were definitely, a couple of just small little like midway plays that they had to allow them to stay a bit more even in the game. And I was talking about early on, how was Resolve going to push their lead? Immortals just didn't let them. They stayed at a pretty neutral state to try to consistently go for these picks and just nothing could happen. Before we head off, I want to try to explain just that one small little interaction. Because when Volibear ults, actually, he goes up in the air, right? Becomes invulnerable. So if you actually set ulting at the exact same time, the damage still lands, but set goes through Volibear and ends up on the other side by himself. It's really cool and kind of a fun way to kind of fake out your opponents, where instead if you just lead them into your team on the other side of the wall. Really fun time. What else is a fun time? Game number 2, which we have on deck for y'all. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you back here real soon.